last year, 92 people died of carbon monoxide poisoning in Minnesota alone. And I mean, that's just horrible that people go to bed one night and never wake up. And the saddest part of all of this is that, for the most part, carbon monoxide deaths are preventable. And just through carbon monoxide detectors, plug them in and they do their job. And the state of Minnesota felt this to be an important enough issue that as of August 1st of 2008, last August, state law says that you have to have carbon monoxide detectors within 10 feet of all sleeping areas. And I'd take it to one step further, and I said I'd put a carbon monoxide detector in each bedroom. And that those 92 deaths can greatly be reduced. But now the question comes up, how does this affect us as real estate agents? What is our responsibility? And it does affect us. This has gotten to be a pretty weird world out there where, bank-owned properties especially are not complying with all rules. We talked about disclosures before and what to do about that. But with carbon monoxide detectors, what is your responsibility? Well, first of all, we're here to protect our clients, so that goes without saying. But a secondary issue on this is how do you, as a real estate agent, protect yourself from lawsuit? Because trust me, if you're involved in a sale of a property and there's no carbon monoxide detectors at the time that title is conveyed, and the people die, you're going to get sued. Everyone's going to get sued. I mean, this is the way the world works, and we're trying to avoid that because it's painful and it's not something that you want to be involved in. So what happens? You've shown the house, you've disclosed to your buyers that this is state law, that there are no carbon monoxide detectors in this house, and you talk to the other agent and say, there's no carbon monoxide detectors in here, and the other agent says, well, let me talk to the bank, and I'm sure they'll take care of it. Well, the bank's not going to do anything. In many cases, we know this is a fact, that the bank is washing their hands and saying it's as is condition, and you're responsible for it. And we were talking about this at Tuesdays with Kevin last month, which, by the way, really turned out well. It had good conversation and good topics, but we were talking about this specifically, is who's responsible. So I did call up the attorneys, the DeMar attorneys, on the hotline and asked them about this, and here's kind of the way it works, is that state law says sellers are responsible. Flat out, first line, when they have a house, they are obligated by law to have a carbon monoxide detector. If they don't, the next person in line is the listing agent. And then the listing agent has, that relationship with the seller, and it's more their responsibility if the seller doesn't step up to the plate and put in a carbon monoxide detector. Now, I feel bad for listing agents with banks right now because so many of the banks are dumping things like this onto the listing agent and making them property managers and spending a lot of money on maintaining the properties and doing things that really, as a listing agent, you normally are not responsible for. But this being the wild, wild west these days, is kind of what's happening. So the next level goes down to the listing agent. If the listing agent just gets tired and sick and tired of it and says, hey, it's not my problem, I'm not spending another nickel on this house, or these 20 houses that I have, are you as the selling agent responsible and liable as well? And the answer is yes. As I said, first of all, the safety of your clients is the highest responsibility that we have. We have to take care of our clients, and you don't want to put them into a house where there may be problems. So yeah, you need to either give them a gift card or disclose it to them that they need carbon monoxides. This is what the law says. But the attorney also went a little bit further, saying that why don't you just write it into the purchase agreement, and forcing the bank or the seller, because it's not always the bank, sometimes it's just the seller who has not put carbon monoxide detectors in, but make it part of the contract. And if you go to closing and that hasn't been done yet and there's no compensation, your buyers have the option of not closing, of holding it up. And hopefully the banks will either compensate you or your buyer somewhere along the line, or the listing agent will kick it in, or some way, but make it part of the contract, because then if something does happen, they have the first line of responsibility. But truth of the matter is that a selling agent, you still have that liability, you still got that responsibility, and as much as we hate doing it, when all else fails, you need to step up to the plate and buy the carbon monoxide detectors.